When Jesus had come down from the hill, great crowds followed him. He saw a leper who came up and bowed to the ground before him and said, "Master, if only you are willing, you are able to make me clean." Stretching out his hand, Jesus touched him, saying as he did so, "I am willing. Become clean." Instantly he was made clean from his leprosy. And then Jesus said to him, "Be careful not to say a word to anyone, but go and show yourself to the priest and offer the gift directed by Moses as evidence of your cure." After Jesus had entered Capernaum, a captain in the Roman army came up to him, entreating his help. "Sir," he said, "my manservant is lying ill at my house with a stroke of paralysis and is suffering terribly." "I will come and cure him," answered Jesus. "Sir," the captain went on, "I am unworthy to receive you under my roof, but only speak, and my manservant will be cured. For I myself am a man under the orders of others, with soldiers under me. And if I say to one of them, 'Go,' he goes, and to another, 'Come,' he comes, and to my slave, 'Do this,' he does it." Jesus was surprised to hear this, and said to those who were following him, "Never, I tell you, in any Israelite have I met with such faith as this." Yes, and many will come in from east and west and take their places beside Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, while the heirs to the kingdom will be banished into the darkness outside. There will be weeping and grinding of teeth. Then Jesus said to the captain, "Go now, and it will be according to your faith." And the man was cured that very hour. When Jesus went into Peter's house, he saw Peter's mother-in-law prostrated with fever. On his taking her hand, the fever left her, and she rose and began to take care of him. In the evening, the people brought to Jesus many who were possessed by demons, and he drove out the spirits with a word and cured all who were ill. In fulfillment of these words in the prophet Isaiah, he took our infirmities in himself and bore the burden of our diseases. Seeing a crowd around him, Jesus gave orders to go across. A teacher of the law came up to him and said, "Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." "Foxes have holes," answered Jesus, "and wild birds their nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head." "Master," said another, who was a disciple, "let me first go and bury my father." But Jesus answered, "Follow me and leave the dead to bury their dead." Then he got into the boat, followed by his disciples. Suddenly, so great a storm came up on the sea that the waves broke right over the boat. But Jesus was asleep, and the disciples came and roused him. "Master," they cried, "save us, we are lost." "Why are you so timid?" he said, "you of little faith?" Then Jesus rose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and a great calm followed. The men were amazed and exclaimed, "What kind of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him?" On getting to the other side, the region of the Gadarenes, Jesus met two men who were possessed by demons, coming out of the tombs. They were so violent that no one was able to pass that way. Suddenly they shrieked out, "What do you want with us, Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before our time?" A long way off there was a drove of many pigs feeding, and the foul spirits began begging Jesus, "If you drive us out, send us into the drove of pigs." "Go," he said. The spirits came out and entered the pigs, and the whole drove rushed down the steep slope into the sea and died in the water. At this, the men who tended them ran away and went to the town, carrying the news of all that had occurred and of what had happened to the possessed men. At the news, the whole town went out to meet Jesus, and when they saw him, they entreated him to go away from their region. After Jesus got into a boat and crossing over came to his own town city, there some people brought to him a paralyzed man on a bed. When Jesus saw their faith, he said to the man, "Courage, child, your sins are forgiven." Then some of the teachers of the law said to themselves, "This man is blaspheming." Knowing their thoughts, Jesus exclaimed, "Why do you cherish such wicked thoughts? Which, I ask, is the easier, to say, 'Your sins are forgiven,' or to say, 'Get up and walk'? But to show you that the Son of Man has power on earth to forgive sins." Then he said to the paralyzed man, "Get up, take your bed, and return to your home." The man got up and went to his home. When the crowd saw this, they were awestruck and praised God for giving such power to human beings. As Jesus went along, he saw a man called Matthew sitting in the tax office and said to him, "Follow me." Matthew got up and followed him. And later on, when he was having dinner in the house, a number of tax gatherers and outcasts came in and took their places at the table with Jesus and his disciples. When the Pharisees saw this, they said to his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat in the company of tax gatherers and outcasts?" On hearing this, Jesus said, "It is not those who are healthy who need a doctor, but those who are ill. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy and not sacrifice. For I did not come to call the religious, but the outcast." Then John's disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Why do we and the Pharisees fast, while your disciples do not?" Jesus answered, "Can the groom's friends mourn as long as the groom is with them? But the days will come when the groom will be taken away from them, and they will fast then. Nobody ever puts a piece of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for such a patch tears away from the garment, and a worse tear is made. Nor do people put new wine into old wineskins, for if they do, the skins burst, and the wine runs out, and the skins are lost. But they put new wine into fresh skins, and so both are preserved." While Jesus was saying this, a synagogue leader came up and bowed to the ground before him. "My daughter," he said, "has just died. But come and place your hand on her, and she will be restored to life." So Jesus rose and followed him, and his disciples went also. But meanwhile, a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhage for 12 years came up behind and touched the tassel of his cloak. "If I only touch his cloak," she said to herself, "I will get well." Turning and seeing her, Jesus said, "Courage, daughter, your faith has delivered you." And at that very moment, she became well. When Jesus reached the leader's house, seeing the flute players and the number of people all in confusion, he said, "Go away, the little girl is not dead, she is asleep." They began to laugh at him. But when the people had been sent out, Jesus went in and took the little girl's hand, and she rose. The report of this spread through all that part of the country. As Jesus was passing on from there, he was followed by two blind men who kept calling out, "Take pity on us, Son of David." When he had gone indoors, the blind men came up to him, and Jesus asked them, "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" "Yes, Master," they answered. Then he touched their eyes and said, it will be according to your faith." Then their eyes were opened. Jesus sternly cautioned them. "See that no one knows of it," he said. But the men went out and spread the news about him through all that part of the country. Just as they were going out, some people brought up to Jesus a dumb man who was possessed by a demon. And as soon as the demon had been driven out, the dumb man spoke. The people were astonished at this and exclaimed, "Nothing like this has ever been seen in Israel." But the Pharisees said, "He drives out the demons by the help of the chief of the demons." Jesus went around all the towns and the villages, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and curing every kind of disease and every kind of sickness. But when he saw the crowds, his heart was moved with compassion for them, because they were distressed and harassed like sheep without a shepherd. And he said to his disciples, "The harvest is abundant, but the laborers are few. Therefore, pray to the owner of the harvest to send laborers to gather in his harvest." Calling his 12 disciples to him, Jesus gave them authority over foul spirits so that they could drive them out, as well as the power of curing every kind of disease and every kind of sickness. The names of the 12 apostles are these: first, Simon, also known as Peter, and his brother Andrew; James, the son of Zebedee, and his brother John; Philip and Bartholomew; Thomas and Matthew the tax gatherer; James the son of Alphaeus and Thaddeus; Simon the Zealot; and Judas Iscariot, the apostle who betrayed him. These 12 Jesus sent out as his messengers. After giving them these instructions, "Do not go to the Gentiles, nor enter any Samaritan town, but make your way rather to the lost sheep of Israel. On your way, proclaim that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Cure the sick, raise the dead, make the lepers clean, drive out demons. You have received free of cost. Give free of cost. Do not provide yourselves with gold, or silver, or coins in your purses, not even with a bag for the journey, or a change of clothes, or sandals, or even a staff, for the worker is worth his food. Whatever town or village you visit, find out who is worthy in that place, and remain there until you leave. As you enter the house, greet it. Then, if the house is worthy, let your blessing rest on it. But if it is unworthy, let your blessing return on yourselves. If no one welcomes you or listens to what you say, as you leave that house or that town, shake off its dust from your feet. I tell you, the doom of the land of Sodom and Gomorrah will be more bearable in the day of judgment than the doom of that town. Remember, I am sending you out as my messengers, like sheep among wolves. So be as wise as snakes and as blameless as doves. Be on your guard against others, for they will betray you to courts of law and scourge you in their synagogues. And you will be brought before governors and kings for my sake, so that you may witness for me before them and the nations. Whenever they betray you, do not be anxious as to how you will speak or what you will say, for what you will say will be given you at the moment. For it will not be you who speak, but the Spirit of your Father that speaks within you. Brother will betray brother to death, and the father his child, and children will turn against their parents and cause them to be put to death. And you will be hated by everyone because of me. Yet the person who endures to the end will be saved. But when they persecute you in one town, escape to the next. For I tell you, you will not have come to the end of the towns of Israel before the Son of Man comes. A student is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for a student to be treated like his teacher and a servant like his master. If the head of the house has been called Beelzebul, how much more the members of his household? Do not therefore be afraid of them. There is nothing concealed which will not be revealed, nor anything hidden which will not become known. What I tell you in the dark, say again in the light, and what is whispered in your ear, proclaim on the housetops. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but are unable to kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of him who is able to destroy both soul and body in Gehenna. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a 1 copper coin? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground without your Father's knowledge. While as for you, even the hairs of your head are numbered. Do not therefore be afraid. You are of more value than many sparrows. Everyone, therefore, who will publicly acknowledge me, I too will acknowledge before my Father who is in heaven. But if anyone publicly disowns me, I too will disown him before my Father who is in heaven. Do not imagine that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I have come to bring not peace, but the sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A person's enemies will be the members of their own household. Anyone who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And anyone who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Anyone who does not take their cross and follow in my steps is not worthy of me. The person who has found their life will lose it, while the person who, for my sake, has lost their life will find it. Anyone who welcomes you is welcoming me, and anyone who welcomes me is welcoming him who sent me as his messenger. The person who welcomes a prophet because they are a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And anyone who welcomes a good person because they are a good person will receive a good person's reward. And if anyone gives but a cup of cold water to one of these little ones because they are a disciple, I tell you that they will assuredly not lose their reward.